la 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 fortress of solitude. Well, thankfully, the pandemic is hopefully now behind us, and the world is slowly coming out of this terrible state of 2 years. But when we were incarcerated, when the pandemic was on, we were in quarantine and lockdown, I desperately tried to do two things. One, I tried to keep it as business as usual. Yes, business was slow, but there were two things which went for me. One was that my business model was amenable to be moved to a virtual platform, so it was easier. Second, though the business was slow, it was not something which I had not faced earlier, because during the subprime crisis in 2008-9, I had faced this, and also during 2016 when demonetization happened, my business was slow. So what I did was I redoubled my efforts at my writing. Two of my books, one was an anthology which was published in May 2020, and which was a fictional work of fiction, and the other one was my non-fiction, which was published in Jan 22, and obviously a lot of time and effort was spent there, so that was very, very uplifting. Also, I immersed myself quite a bit in binge watching and OTT, so if that's a fortress of solitude, well, that worked for me. Well, mental health to me is a positive state of acceptance, and thereby creating an equilibrium both within and without. That to me is mental health. Well, this may seem simplistic, but I sincerely believe that if I can engage myself in creative and productive pursuits of both mind and body, then any affliction affecting either of these can be kept at bay. So, for me, taking care of my mental health is basically exercising well, keeping myself physically fit, eating well, sleeping well, looking at things positively, spending a lot of time with friends and family. The rest will take care of itself. I know this may sound simplistic, but to me it has been a mantra which has worked. The mental rigors associated with writing. Well, first of all, writing is a very lonely pursuit. So you must be very, very comfortable in your own skin. You must be absolutely at a happy place with yourself. That's the first important requirement. For example, if I am very distracted or disturbed and I am, for example, writing something on humor, it's going to be very, very difficult for me to be able to produce anything. Secondly, writing requires a lot of discipline. It requires a lot of focus. So even if I'm not churning out the best of my work or ability, if I know some days that it's suboptimal, I should not give it up. At the same time, I must have the latitude or the strength to allow some days to lapse, some weeks or months even to lapse without writing, if I don't believe that I'm at equilibrium with myself. And knowing and accepting the fact that there will be days where you will not be productive, there will be days where you'll be churning out something which you absolutely hate. These, I think, are some of the challenges one faces when one is writing. I'm actually thankful for the many avenues that keep me busy and occupied. To the ones you mentioned, you could also add my engagements in, trying to keep myself physically fit, in cooking, reading, my indulgence with the OTT, to this list. If any one activity overwhelms me, what I try to do is I slow down on the others. So because I need to spend more time here, so I slow down on the others. Also, I don't have any boundary or definition between what work and leisure is, because each of these activities which I do provides me joy in a different kind of a light, in a different kind of a frame. So that's what keeps me going, actually. Well, you've asked me two questions, one regarding the stigma about visiting a mental health professional, and the second one about the role in increasing the awareness of mental health. I will take both questions together because to my mind they are very closely correlated. First of all, we must break this entire misconception with the mental health. We have been conditioned since childhood to be more empathetic towards someone with some kind of a physical disability than someone with a mental well-being problem. And I've seen both children and adults be very sympathetic, very empathetic, being very nice and kind to people with physical disabilities, but show an absolutely contrasting behavior to someone with some kind of a mental problem. And I think towards this, parents have a very, very big role to play. And each one of us needs to be aware of this responsibility in trying to take a problem regarding mental health to be as simple or normal as a problem regarding a physical problem, a physical illness, a physical disability, a physical ailment. It must become as normalized, as simple as that. And when we are looking around us, we need to be more cognizant and more aware, more awoke to this problem. And we need to speak to people, make them feel welcome, to be able to counsel them, not talking from a pedestal, but as a friend. And I think we should just start with a number of changes. The first is, why do we call a mental health professional a shrink? We should start changing that itself to be able to make the changes we need to. To my mind, there have been lots of social and cultural stigmas which we have overcome far more successfully, and with a lot more which required a lot more, shall we say, effort, which had faced a lot more resistance. And I do genuinely believe that we will be able to also overcome the stigma on mental health. We must be very, very acutely aware of this fact, and I was reading this somewhere, that India's, the number of people who are affected with incidences or issues of mental well-being stand at about 14% of our population, which is higher than the world average of 13%. And that itself should be a big cause of concern, and we should look upon it as a responsibility of society. Well, thank you for this initiative of encouraging people to write in short stories. I will be looking at, as a member of the panel, my criteria for why a story would work or would be good is looking at things like originality, plot, character build-up or character conflict, the message which the story leaves, and of course, how engaging is the writing style. Thanks.